Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashima Mashiach, Malaki Bashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, so I can magnify the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody, or Shabbat Shalom, another mighty Shabbat through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. So again, shalom to those who are tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his son, Yahweh Shai, dying at 144K. Praise Yahweh, Yvette McKellar, Shaquat Gabar, drivers, Joe Talks Period, Nigel Blends, Benjamin Youngwolf, Don Israel Tamid, Kyoko Banyumyan, Ephraimite Ak, Elder Daria Wash, Shalom, T. Kellers, Brother Azariah, Shalom, King, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Apocalyptic Events and the 666, right? Apocalyptic Events and the 666 through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai is the topic. There's a lot going on in the earth. There was a lot of topics I was meditating on, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. But, like I said in the previous cold cut that I did regarding Iran and these different events in the Middle East, I had to essentially just break that. That was supposed to be part of this lesson, in all transparency. But I had to segregate that particular topic because there's so much going on in the earth. I mean, there are so many prophecies that are unfolding. There are so many events that Yahweh Shai is showing that, things are being made manifest. Things are coming to light. I'm talking about within the nation of Israel, and we're talking about outside of the nation, within and without. I mean, we're talking locally, we're talking nationally, we're talking internationally. All things are being made manifest in these last days. And it's important that brothers and sisters are constantly keeping watch over your spirit, over your mind, over the flock, over your household, over your family, and constantly monitoring what Yahweh Shai is doing in the earth and linking it up directly with the word of God and the prophecies so you can understand what times that you're living in. And not only that, but also how to prepare yourself and your household for these heavy judgments that are on the earth and that are going to continually increase, right? So I will kick it off. I want to go to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, real quick, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashmel Shah. Let's go to Daniel, right? And this is moving kind of slow, so Salakia. Right, bear with me. I want to go to Daniel, the 12th chapter. Right, bear with me. Right, because we are charged to watch, and not only watch, prepare, man. Prepare our spirits. Right, let's go to Daniel chapter 12. You got stuff going on with Greenland, right? You have laws being passed regarding what we can and cannot say according to man's understanding. You got other events going on in the Middle East, right outside this attack that was supposed to happen according to man's devices with America and Iran. Immediately after that, you got the dragons of Arabia, right? You got all types of madness unfolding. So this is Daniel chapter 12, right, and verse number 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, right? And there should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that should be found written in the book, right? These are the times that we're approaching. This time of trouble, that's Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, the peak and pinnacle of World War III and massive persecution to the saints who have repented, believe in Yahweh Basham Yahushua, and are keeping the commandments. See, right now, what you see going on is a buildup, right? This is a buildup to the climax, like any movie, right? Any movie has that rising action, how they call it, and it leads to that climax, right? And the climax is when Yahweh returns, and we're almost there, man, right? Based off of the events that the Most High is doing on the earth. So that time of trouble is slowly approaching. Actually, it's rapidly approaching, right? And it's primarily, yeah, you're going to see wars that happen in the Middle East. You're going to see events that take place concerning Russia, China. You're going to see NATO fall apart. That's prophecy. You're going to see all these events that affect other nations and their geopolitics and their finances. But ultimately, we're worried about our people. And primarily brothers in the States out here in Babylon the Great, that's where the pinnacle of persecution is going to take place concerning Jacob's trouble. Esau going door to door, kicking doors down, rifling your houses, taking what he wanted to take, throwing you in the back of trucks, military vehicles, black bags over your face, man, handcuffed on buses, military buses, FEMA camps, prisons. You know, these days are coming. This is the reality of the truth, man. This truth ain't just a damn, okay, I kept the new moon and I drank a beer. Okay, I went to camp and I got on the Edomite. Things about to hit home real soon. Daniel 12:2. And many of them that sleep in the dust shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's the resurrection. When Yahweh returns, those men who are martyred or died in the truth, they're going to be raised up, beamed up in the chariot, and receive a glorious eternal crown. Certain men are going to be raised up and they're going to be destroyed. Verse number 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. And it's the spirit that we want to be in. The Lord said, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. And if you are moving in the spirit of wisdom, if you're moving in the spirit of knowledge and understanding, then your light should be shining. You know, you shouldn't have a dull spirit in these last days. You shouldn't have a lukewarm spirit in the last days. The Most High said, if you're wise, you're going to be shining as the brightness of the firmament. There are heavenly celestial bodies that the Most High has made in the firmament that constantly shine. The sun, the moons, the various constellations, and they're always giving forth light. Huh? Now, in our wisdom, brothers should be moving in that same spirit, utilizing the talents the Most High gave you, the gifts that the Heavenly Father gave you, increasing your reading, increasing your fasting, your studying, your brotherly love, your repentance, your self-examination, the work that we do. We're likened unto stars. And we have to turn many to righteousness, man. Right? Let me get this in Baruch, the 3rd chapter. Just want to get these quick few precepts before we dive into it. Every brother should be on full fire mode, man. You know, letting that light shine through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. This is Baruch, the 3rd chapter, right? It says, and they that be wise, right? They that be wise. Baruch chapter 3, and I'm going to start at 34. It reads, the stars shined in their watches and rejoiced. When he calleth them, they say, here we be. And so with cheerfulness, they show light unto him that made them. And this applies to the actual stars, but man, again, like we went into before, and we're going to keep going into it, it's our job to move in that same spirit, to shine in the night. This is the nighttime. You know, this is the time of darkness, the time of evil, the time of secret, elite, globalist agendas, the time of the New World Order being established, the time of an entire global shift, the time of persecution. This is it, man. There's so much happening on the earth. You know, you got Esau shutting off the internet with a snap of the fingers, shutting off cell phone service with a snap of the fingers, you know, destroying the air, raiding cities. This devil is on full-fledged attack mode. Venezuela, Mexico, Greenland, Iran. He's moving like the Lord told you he would move in Revelation, the 12th chapter, knowing that he had the short time. How does this devil, how is he more equipped to understand the times than brothers who have the Holy Spirit, man? This devil knows he has a short time, and he's on fire. Yes, the so-called white man is on fire. He's on fire to rape, rob, and murder. He's on fire to plunder, to steal, and to destroy. He's on fire to establish his agendas. He's on fire to execute what he has counseled on. He's on fire, man, to bomb, to plot, and to plunder. Don't let this damn devil be more on fire than you, man, knowing that he got a short time. Brothers have to shine in your watches, you know? And stars, they are in a respective order. And they are visible to man throughout set times of the year. You know, different constellations are visible to men at different times throughout the year. So whenever that constellation comes, it's in order. They don't move. They don't break off. No star says, you know what, I've been kind of in this constellation too long. I'm going to kind of do my own thing. No, they stand in their order and they're watching. And then here's the point right here too. It says, when he calleth them, they say, here we be. That means they're alert. That's how brothers got to be. The Lord called you. You can't sit there. Okay, well, let me get ready. Let me go shake my garment out, get it out the closet, shake the dust off of it. Where's my Bible? No, you got to be ready. And the Lord called Samuel. Samuel said, here am I, Lord. Eli didn't know what was going on at first, man. You know, Samuel came to Eli, Lord, you know, I mean, he's calling me and go back to bed, Samuel. And, you know, the Lord eventually, let me actually get that account. The Lord put the spirit on Samuel once he understood what was going on. He said, here am I. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to read 1 Samuel chapter 3 and 2. You know, I'm going to start at 1. Right? Because this is the Lord calling Samuel, and the Lord has called us. Right? The Lord has called us. We're likened unto Samuel. See, Samuel was devoted unto the Lord. He was devoted to Yahweh Ba'ashmiah Shah. There was nothing that he can do. There was a vow that Hannah, his mother, made when she was barren, and said, if I receive a son of the Lord, I'm going to wholly dedicate him to the Most High. We're wholly dedicated to the Most High. We're devoted to Yahweh Ba'ashmiah Shah. You know, we've been given to the Most High the same way Samuel was. So this is 1 Samuel 3 and 1. And Samuel couldn't deviate from what the Most High set up with his mother. He had to deal with it. He was a prophet. He was set up to be a prophet, and he had to deal with it. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of Yahweh was precious in those days. There was no open vision. So there was essentially a famine of the word. No guidance. The Most High didn't have a plethora of prophets out there to direct Israel. You know, this is, you know, really during the days of the judges. You know, there was no open vision. And it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place and his eyes began to wax dim that he could not see. And this is a transition of leadership, right? Eli, he's the judge, but he's beginning to wax dim, like a lot of brothers are. Their eyes are beginning to wax dim. You have men going back in the world. Now, this is literal, but we are spiritual men, so we're breaking it down on a practical level that you can look at and apply. Men are going back in the world, their eyes are waxing dim. Men don't study anymore, their eyes are waxing dim. People are going into strange doctrines, their eyes are waxing dim, and they can't see which way that we should go. They're chasing money, preoccupied with all these hobbies and career paths and setting themselves up to be here 30 more years, 25 more years. Many men in these days, as the word of the Lord is precious, at that same time, men's eyes are waxing dim and they can't see what's going on. Talking about brothers in the truth. Same time the word of the Lord was precious was the same time men's eyes were waxing dim. Right? Verse 3. And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep, because Samuel was there in the tabernacle, right? That the Lord called Samuel and he said, here am I, right? And he ran unto Eli and said, here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I call not, lie down again. And he went and lay down. Now the Lord called Samuel, he said, here am I, I'm ready. Now Samuel, he didn't know at that time, but he was alert, he was ready. Now, in all honesty, Eli should have known that that was the Lord calling Samuel. But Eli, he was waxing dim. His judgment, his sons was off. His mind wasn't there. His spiritual mind wasn't there to tell Samuel straight up, I didn't call you. Okay, therefore the Lord must have called you. Right? So let's read on. And the Lord called yet again Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I call not my son, lie down again. Right? And if Eli had that strong discernment, like he probably had in time past, he would have discerned already, oh, that's the Lord. Remember, he's waxing dim. This is a transition of leadership, a transition of the prophethood, and the Lord is getting Eli out the way and he's bringing Samuel into the scene. Right? This is a change of guard. Eli should have known this, but this is what happened when your eyes wax dim, when your senses and your understanding begins to be taken away from you. Verse 7, 1 Samuel 3 and 7. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him, because Samuel, he was a child, right? So he didn't have that experience. I'm gonna get this. This keeps playing out of nowhere. Hold on. Salaki, we're gonna get that devil. We're gonna talk about that devil. We got a lot we got to talk about. I just got to touch I want to touch on this point. We got a lot we got to talk about with this guy. There's a whole lot going on in the world. Right, but let me finish this real quick, and I got to get into that. 1 Samuel 3 and 7 again, but let me touch on this. Now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Now it hit him, right? The Most High speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not, right? Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. See, and the Lord is calling us, man. Brothers was laying down in they sleep. You were in darkness. That Song of Solomon, the 3rd chapter, the Most High said, let me get this precept. The Lord said, by night, right? Let me get this real quick. Song of Solomon, chapter 3 and 1. By night on my bed, I sought whom my soul loveth. I sought him, but found him not. This represents brothers in the truth, in a sense of dark, in a state of darkness. By night is the world. By night is confusion. By night, there's no light. There's no truth. And your bed is a place of comfortability. You in the world doing whatever you wanted to do, and you didn't have the truth. So we all were on our bed. We were all like Samuel at one time, and we didn't yet know the Lord. But then the Lord called you, bring you into this truth, give you understanding. And the Lord dealt with brothers mightily, man, removed strongholds from you. The Lord removed demons from you, gave you gifts and talents, a strong memory, a bold spirit, knowledge of the precepts, history, prophecy, the ability to give alms, to love one another. So we all had this situation where we were like Samuel, and the word of the Lord, we didn't know it yet, but the Lord is calling us. Trying to find and know the truth, but the Lord didn't show us. And then it's like until he actually called us. You know, so Eli told Samuel, next time the Lord call you, say what? Let's read it again. 1 Samuel 3:9. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down to his place. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, speak, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel was alert. He was ready. Every time the Lord called, here I am, speak, thy servant heareth. Ready to do the work of the Most High, to be attentive, to be alert, watching. He was watching. If he fell asleep, he would never have encountered the Lord. He had to stay up all night. He was up. There's no telling how long he was up. It was nighttime. He was up all night, waiting for the Lord to call him. When the Lord called him, he was ready. That's how brothers got to be. That's what Baruch, the 3rd chapter, is speaking about. Let's go back to Baruch 3:34. The stars shine in their watches and rejoiced. When he calleth them, they say, here we be. So that's how Samuel was. He was shining in his watches. When the Lord was calling him in that night season on his bed, they say, here we be. And that's how brothers got to be, man. Got to be ready. You watching. You on the edge of your seat. You're in tune with the prophecies. You're in tune with the judgments. You know what's going on. And so with cheerfulness, they showed light unto him that made them. And they began to show that light. Right? They began to show that light through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Right? Let's go to Jeremiah 23 real quick. Right? I must get these precepts. Right? Because this is also a warning, man. You know, and I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of things that we're going to touch on. And you brothers that are, I'm calling you brothers out on the that go out on the highways and byways. You should know most of this stuff we about to go into. I'm gonna just come out and say that because you should, you know, you already on it, right? You're held to a higher standard. That's James the 3rd chapter. Most of the stuff we're gonna go into, you should know. Now, again, there may be things that you might have missed or what have you, but you know, in a general sense, you should be cognizant of these events that we're about to touch on because you're already watching. Hey, brothers could drop dead. We could give up the ghost. Brothers got to, you know, you got to work out your own salvation. You got to be hitting that refresh button, seeing what's going on. You got to be tapped in. You can't wait to the live to know what's going on. Y'all know that, you know, through the spirit, damn Satan be cutting the live out and all hell break loose. Then what? You got to have this thing ready. You know, Jeremiah 23. Anything could happen. Esau could kick my damn door down right now. He could grab me up on the live. Next thing you know, you see a black bag over my head. I get hit with the butt of a damn rifle. And then what? And other brothers too, man. You know? So this is Jeremiah chapter 23. Right? Let me get this precept. This Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse number 12. I'm going to start at 11. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, said the Lord. So the Lord is looking at the prophets, the priests, and he's saying who's off. He's searching Jerusalem with candles. Who's sincere? Who's on fire? Who's diligent? Who has their hand to the plow? And he's seeing who's also profane. Right? And he said, I found their wickedness. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein, for I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, said the Lord. So if you're not like those stars watching in the night, you're going to slip in the night. And if you slip in these last days, now again, the Lord said a righteous man or the just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. So if you're in a spirit of wickedness and confusion and you fall and you slip in darkness, it's going to be hard to get back up. Right? These are the days where we have to be mindful of where we're going. Be mindful of what's happening. Because the Most High, He's going to put slippery pathways in front of brothers, man. That's not watching, that don't have that spirit, like Samuel. When the Lord called, you got to say, "Here I am." Even Isaiah said that. Let me get one more before we actually dive into it. Right? Even Isaiah said that. Isaiah chapter 6 and verse number 8. Also I said, it's like it also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send and who will go for us?" Then said I, "Here am I, send me." That's a beautiful spirit to have. The Lord talking to the heavenly host, all of the angels that are greater than man. Isaiah stepped up, he said, "Here am I, send me." I'm ready. Like Samuel, "Here am I, Lord." The Lord is calling, brothers. We in this thing. You got some brothers, they don't know where their Bible is at. Can't find their Apocrypha. Don't know where their notes at. They had one shirt with fringes for 7 years. Never kept a new moon. Don't know what Purim is about, the Feast of Dedication. They're not ready, man. So when the Lord really start cracking down, brothers gonna get caught out there. You have to be ready, right? And the Lord said, "Therefore be ye also ready, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." Right? Matthew chapter 24 and verse number 44. "Therefore be ye also ready, for such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh." And there's a famous saying, right? Salaki, let me make sure screen is showing. Okay, the screen not showing. Salaki, I thought the screen was showing. Right, let me try this again. See, that's Satan right there, man. Right, let me pull this up. Let's try this again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. All right. All right, let's check this out. All right, and it's still not showing. Caption a different screen. So that's Satan right there, man. I'm telling you. Of all times, now they can't access the screen. Right? So Salaki, bear with me. Let me figure this matter out. Right? Because we got a lot we got to show. Right? We got a lot we got to show through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. Right? We got a lot we got to get into. And this is Satan's trying to hinder the word. Right? We got current events and prophecies unfolding. Right? And this is an integral part of the lesson that I could show what's going on through the spirit. So bear with me. All right, let me try this again. All right, so bear with me. All right, I want to share the screen. All right, so I'll praise to the Most High. So let me read this. Right, you see that? This Matthew chapter 24 and 44. Therefore, see, Satan's job is to come and disrupt the spirit. That's Mark chapter 4 and 14 on down. The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their heart. So Satan's job is to, when you flowing in the spirit, to disrupt that flow. Rather it's about for 1 second or 1 year or 10 minutes to disrupt the spirit. Right? Hey, but you can't, hey, if it be the most high, you can't overthrow it. Lest happily it be found even to fight against the most high. But this is Matthew 24 and 44. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as he think not, the Son of Man cometh. And that's a famous saying, even amongst Jake in the world. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Right? You have to be ready. Right? You have to be in the mind of, okay, if Yahweh shall return in the next 5 minutes, 3 minutes, let's say 3 minutes, am I going to be ready? Have I done enough? Now, you may not, a lot of brothers, you're not going to feel like you've done enough, but, are you bold and confident in the spirit? Or are you going to condemn yourself knowing that you're still smoking weed? Sisters still wearing pants. Brothers are still just eating pork. You still haven't kept the Sabbath day. You're not ready. No man is perfect in the flesh, but through faith in the spirit, you await that salvation, knowing that you have strived for the mastery. And for lack of better terms, you put your best foot forward. You got to be ready. If the Lord come in the next 3 minutes, how's your mind going to be? Are you going to condemn yourself to destruction, knowing that you're secretly going off behind closed doors? Or are you going to confidently wait for the expectation? Right? These are the things that you have to ask yourself, man. And it's very important. You got the doomsday clock reveal, right? I want to kick it off with this through the spirit, because every year they go through this doomsday clock, which is from the Atomic Board or the Atomic Bulletin of Scientists. These are Esau's mid-class wise men. These are his middle-class wise men. And what they do is based off of the events, because they watch too. Don't get it twisted, man. You got these devils they watch on the left-hand side. And they understand that their kingdom is over. So every year they do a doomsday clock reveal. So on their end, they can know how much time they got. On our end, we already know how much time they got. We don't need the so-called white man's doomsday clock for us to understand how close they are to being destroyed and how soon Yahweh Shai is to coming. We don't need that because we have the prophecies. That's our doomsday clock, the word of God. Last time I read it says we have a more sure word of prophecy. And 2 Peter 1 and 19. We are certain as the days progress, our understanding of prophecy also progresses based off of what the Most High is showing us. But here's what they said. 2026 doomsday clock reveal, white experts fear we are closer to midnight than ever. Now, midnight is the destruction of their kingdom. Hey, if I was a so-called white man, I'd be depressed. This is depressing news for Edomites and the heathen. That's why they drinking themselves to death. They're on meth, bath salts, trank. There's a new thing out there too that they're on. I can't think of the name of it. Hey, they blowing their brains out. You got CEOs jumping off of buildings. That's why they galvanize under Trump rhetoric, because the rhetoric of Trump is it provides a false sense of hope to Esau, who's trying to escape reality. The reality is his kingdom is over, but the rhetoric of other Edomites is trying to put a spirit in them to make them think that they have a chance. You don't have a chance, man. It's over with. It's over with. Deep down inside, you know it's over with. So you cleaving on to this false sense of hope from Trump about making America great again and the economy's looking better than ever. Them Edomites love hearing that. You're getting pimped out. That's how pimps and wicked dudes deal with women, man. They provide false sense of security and hope, and really they damn beating them to death and working mischief. So you Edomites, man, you don't know what's going on. So I'm going to read a little of this, right? As the world looks toward 2026, a chilling question hangs over the international community. Just how close are we to the end? And some people, they really wait. They wait every year for this to come out, right? They don't read. They don't go into the scriptures. But every year, they're just waiting. Well, what is the doomsday clock going to say? How close are we to the end? On January 27th, right? That's coming up. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists will answer that question when they unveil the latest setting of the doomsday clock. Now, if I'm not mistaken, right now, they told the free world that we're 59 seconds to midnight. If I'm not mistaken, I have to go back and verify that. Right? Now, they might come out and say we 30 seconds to midnight. We 20 seconds to midnight. For nearly 8 decades, the metaphorical timepiece has served as the world's most stark warning system. And experts now fear that the hands are poised to move closer to midnight than ever before in human history. And we are closer to midnight. Midnight represents the end of the world, the end of the economy, the peak of World War III, nuclear holocaust, the return of our Lord Yahushua, the end of the system. That's what that represents. Right? That's what that represents. Let's read on. The reveal scheduled for 10 a.m. this January 26th will be broadcast live from Washington via the Bulletin's YouTube channel. The annual ritual, right? I haven't read this article before, but it's an annual ritual. So maybe there's a food sacrifice, then maybe there's a feast, maybe there's a drink offering. Maybe before they do this, there's some type of now I don't know. I'm not there. I can't say what's actually going on behind the scenes and how much of a spiritual ritual this is on the left-hand side. I don't know. But it is a ritual. To what extent? Maybe there's some sacrifice going on. Maybe there's some blood involved. There's some secret ceremony. And then when it's all said and done, they hit lights, camera, action after they drink their baby blood and they stand around that clock and pull the veil back. I don't know, right? It says this annual ritual is not merely for show. It is the culmination of months of deliberation by the Science and Security Board. This elite group of experts working alongside a board of sponsors that includes 8 Nobel laureates. So these are Esau's wise men, right? These are his middle-class wise men, like I said. You got low-level wise men, you got mid-level wise men, you got high-level wise men. Low-level wise men are like your political scientists, right? Your engineers, a physicist. Then you got mid-level wise men, which are these elite group of experts. Top atomic scientists, other people that work with Satan and on the left-hand side. Then you got high-level wise men, which are your priests, right? Esau's priests that work directly with the spiritual demon Satan. And they're responsible for the sacrifices and dealing with Satan and counseling the elites and these illuministic families on how they can further advance their satanic agenda. So there are classes of priests, like we had classes of priests. We had the Kohathites, they were the top class of priests. You had the Merarites, and you had the Gershonites, and they had different levels of sanctification. And the Kohathites, they dealt with the most holy things. I'm not going to go deep into that, but that's in the book of Numbers, the 4th chapter. You can read all of that, you know. Then you had the other class of priests, they dealt with the other holy things. And then other men, they dealt with the pens and the, you know, other smaller materials that weren't as holy, right? So Esau, he conducts his kingdom the same way. I just want to make that point. So this elite group of experts working alongside a board of sponsors that includes 8 Nobel laureates weighs the existential risk posed by nuclear weapons, climate change, and disruptive technologies. In 2025, the clock reached a terrifying 89 seconds till midnight. As we approach the 2026 announcement, the corrosive atmosphere of global politics suggests that even this record-breaking setting may have been surpassed. And it has been surpassed, right? Because God said it's been surpassed. You're not 89 seconds to midnight. Esau, you're really, see, we're the wise men of the Most High, right? Every kingdom has wise men, right? The apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, they're the wise men of the Most High, right? And it's our job to tell you how close we are to midnight, not the so-called white man. Now, don't get me wrong, Esau, let me get this real quick. I know I'm going all over the place. Don't get me wrong, Esau has men that can, monthly prognosticators and, men that can understand the times, but not like us, right? But I want to prove that. This Isaiah 47 and verse number 12. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. This is the Most High talking his talk. He said, as I'm destroying you and stripping apart every part of your kingdom, financially, from a military standpoint, from a societal standpoint, where's all your enchanters? Where's all your magicians? Yes, the so-called white man has enchantments. He deals with dark magic, illuministic forces, evil energy, if you can understand, demonic spirits. He has actual wizards and priests that he has been working with from his youth. From the inception of American society, it has always been, its foundation rather has always been witchcraft and sorcery. And the Most High saying, you've been so powerful using demonic forces. See if that can help you overcome when I send my son Yahushua. Verse 13. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. So these are the men that determine how close we are to midnight. These are your counselors, your stargazers, your men that look at the climate, look at the environment, the astrologers, men that look at signs in the heavens, monthly prognosticators, men. A prognosticator is somebody that has knowledge of the future. Pro meaning forward, and Gnostic or Gnosticism, it means knowledge. So these are people that have knowledge about future events. Month by month, through demonic working, they're able to tell the so-called white man what's going to happen in the future. So some of these guys, they know, but they don't know it all. They couldn't tell in Daniel the 5th chapter, they couldn't tell the King Belshazzar the writing on the wall. They couldn't interpret the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. If it wasn't for Daniel, all those men would have been destroyed. on both accounts, because true knowledge of the future belongs to the prophets. These men can only go so far. They have limitations. Did not Pharaoh's wise men have limitations? Were they able to replicate every plague that God did through Moses? Absolutely not. It was impossible for them to take the dust to the ground and turn it to lice. It was impossible for them to summon locusts, hell mingled with fire, darkness, and death to the firstborn. They couldn't do these things. So there's only so far that they can go. So here they are telling you how close they are to midnight. They don't really know. They're winging it. The men of the Lord, let's go to 2nd Ezra 9. We know, right? We know this 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse number 1. He answered, because they see how they determine how close we are to destruction. They are influenced by globalist philosophies. They're looking at climate change. They're looking at things that are the fabrication of a man's mind to determine how close we are to the end of the world. Right? They don't know the prophecies, first and foremost. So they can't really tell you. They can get close, but they are influenced and conditioned from lies to begin with, right? So they have an idea, but they're not on point. So this is 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we know how close we are to midnight, because we have the key. And our measurement is more accurate because our tools are better. Their tools are some handmade madness. Our tools are so precise. Right? You don't just, like, this guy keeps showing up. Right? Keep playing. Let me go back to this. There's levels to tools, man. You know, different brands of drills, Milwaukee, DeWalt, those are top tier tools. You get you a tool from the Dollar Tree, your measurement's going to be off. You know, so we have the true tools, and the true tool we have is the word of the Most High. So we look at what's going on with Iran, and we say, well, hold on, that's wars and rumors of wars. Okay, well, the Lord said these things must come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Okay, well, if the end is not by and by, when that happens, what are the other prophecies that are going to happen right after that? Okay, well, I'm looking at Saudi Arabia. Okay, I'm looking at Turkey. I'm looking at Pakistan. And I'm understanding that, okay, the dragons of Arabia and 2nd Ezra chapter 15 is coming into fruition. Okay, we're looking at Greenland. We're looking at Europe sending troops to Greenland, France, Germany, Denmark, and said, we will shoot you dead to the so-called white men in America. I'm looking at, okay, well, we're measuring the times. That's Revelation, the 17th chapter, Daniel, the 2nd chapter, 2nd Ezra, the 12th chapter. We're looking at what's going on, and we're able to measure the tools because we're using the Bible. You know, we about 3 seconds to midnight, right? Now, there are still some other prophecies that have to unfold. I did a breakdown maybe a month ago about the order of events of prophecy, prophetic order of events, kind of touching into the chronology of prophecy. It's one thing, like I always say, through the Spirit of the Most High and the Son Yahushua, it's one thing to understand the prophecy, but it's another thing to understand the chronology of prophecy, right? That way the picture becomes a lot more clearer about what the Most High is going to do, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. And we see the earthquakes, man. You had the earthquakes that's been going on that hit Turkey, Afghanistan. It was killing 20,000, 40,000 people. Earthquakes, major earthquakes every day. You see the uproars of the people. What do you think was going on in Iran? That's the uproar of the people. Another word for an uproar is a sedition, pandemonium. CNN, they might call it civil unrest. Argentina, Venezuela, those are uproars of the people. Rather, they are created from the CIA and the Mossad through infiltration, propaganda, or rather they're just people who are not content about the estate of their government and they want to overthrow the government. So as you continually see different cities unravel and entire countries unravel, that is one of the major signs of the end of the world. That's what the Most High said, you're going to well understand. And if you're watching what's going on in Iran, Europe, right, Venezuela, other parts of the earth, South Africa, and many other places, you're going to begin in your mind to say, that's 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and 3. Okay, I know this is the end. Okay, what's next? You saw the earthquakes, right? And there are many other signs. So again, we don't need, where's this at? We don't need the doomsday clock to tell us what's going on. We have the prophecies and the precepts. But the point of me bringing this out is to let you know that even these devils know they have an end. Remember that, again, like I said, they measure the time too. Does it not tell you in Revelation that the devil knoweth that he hath a short time? He knows that, right? Revelation chapter 12 and verse number 12, right? It reads, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He is fully aware that we're waking up to the truth. He's fully aware, based off of how he's witnessing global events, that he hath but a short time. The children of God are waking up. We're repenting, returning back to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, believing in his son, keeping the commandments as much as we can in his flesh, condemning him to his face, rebuking this devil, man, giving him hell. He's seeing what's going on in the world. He knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? And that's why he's looking to lay the hammer down. That's why he has these laws. He's trying to further enhance his laws so he can essentially just shut this ministry down. That's one of his main targets. One of his main targets is to stop the men of the Lord from going into this Bible. That is the number one threat to the New World Order. Us condemning him, revealing who he is, going into these prophecies. You got to think about it. We are the only one, when I say we, us, right, brothers in this truth, even you sisters, we're the only ones, like I said before, that have the secret intel information. We know what is going to happen on the earth before it happens. We're like superheroes. You know, we're like beings. That's why we're spiritual beings. We know exactly who's who, what the Most High is going to do, when he's going to do it. Now, if I was on the other side of that, I would be scared. I'm like, damn, I got to get rid of these people. Everything they say comes to pass. They rebuking me to my face. They know who they are. You know? So you got to get into the mind of them. They know what's going on. Right? They know what's going on through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Right, let me get this precept real quick, and I'm gonna dive into what they're going into with these bills. And believe it or not, these are new bills that they're looking to pass. Right now, I wanted to get one quick precept. So they have new laws that they just kind of put out there to try to get these laws passed. Right, they have to start with a bill. They have to propose that bill. It has to be accepted, signed off on. But that's what they're looking to do, and I'm gonna touch on it. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse number 12. When you read Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter, the Most High taps into the psyche of the so-called white man. You don't have to be a mind reader, Professor X, to know what he thinks. The Most High reveals the thoughts of this devil, and he had Solomon write down how he feels about you. This is for all you Israelites who love the so-called white man and the truth outside the truth, right? He loves me. He's a good white man. This one can repent. He can make it. Well, here's what the Most High said. Am I to believe you or God? Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objected to our infamy the transgressions of our education. This says a lot. These devils know that we're not like them, that we're clean contrary. We light and dark, day and night, hot and cold to them. We're the exact opposite of these devils. We're more righteous. We're more holy. We have more discernment. I work with these devils, man. You work with these devils in high places sometimes, and they have no understanding how to run stuff, how to make decisions, how to be more efficient. You look at how their society is created. They have no understanding. They're not spiritual. They're homosexuals by nature, pedophiles, murderers, and liars. We're the exact opposite. We have a conscience. We feel guilty. We have sorrow. Our judgments are greater. Our decision making, our ability to innovate, to adapt, how we serve a power. We're the only people on the earth, literally, that serve a power that we can't see. It takes strength to do that. You got to really think about that. It's an easy way out to make an idol and to serve something you can see it. That's a weak that's a weak mentality. There's no faith. You just made you an idol, made you a god. It can't smell, it can't see, it can't touch, it can't go nowhere, but that's my God. You know how strong it is to serve a power that you can't see every day, that you don't hear, but yet you believe? Our whole spirit is stronger than them. Our physical makeup is stronger than them. There's not one thing a so-called white man could do better than you. I don't care how you feel about it. We telling you it's not one thing a Chinese man, an East Indian man, a so-called Jewish man, an African man, an Arab, is nothing they can do better than you. We are clean contrary to their doings. We above all these heathen. And they know that. Right? And what's worse than them knowing that is us reminding them of that. That's what really gets to them. The fact that we have knowledge of that. And we get on them. We upbraid them. We rebuke them for how they are wicked. You know? We're the only ones that's going to tell the so-called white man he the devil. Now, you got some other nations, they kind of saying certain things, but they don't say it like us. I read in 2 Samuel 19, the Lord said that the words of Judah were more fiercer than the words of Israel. We get fierce with our words. We spare not. That's why they're looking to pass these laws, right? He professed to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. They hate that. Always reminded that they are not accepted by God. always being reminded. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us, even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. Hey, there's some heavy stuff right here. The Lord said, how they look at us, we're grievous for them even to look at. They hate looking at us. They hate you at work. I'm gonna tell you that. I don't care if they said good morning, how you doing, water cooler talk, talked about sports, the playoffs. They hate you. They know that you work harder than them. They know that you're smarter than them. So they got to keep you, try to suppress you and keep you on these low level, jobs. And they hate looking at you, man. And don't have your fringes on. They say he's not like anybody else. He walked different. He's bold. I trained him. Here, Esau done trained you for 3 months, because that's how long it took him to learn it. You mastered it in 1 week. Not only do you master these things, you find an easier way to do it. Jake, you do this all the time. You find you're so intelligent. You not only master what these devils give you, you find an easier way to do it. And Esau sits there and monitor how did they figure this out? Our ways are of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeit, and we call them frauds. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. Yeah, you don't go to the Christmas parties. That's filthy to you. You abstain from the Thanksgiving events. You abstain from worldly customs. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father. So they hate that about you, man. And that's why I want to play this clip. You got this devil right here. I'm gonna go back to that law, right? The ADL CEO. ADL is the Anti-Defamation League, right? It's essentially an organization to eliminate, target hate speech against the so-called Jew, right? In simple terms. So check out what this devil said. ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, he's a homosexual, says every anti-Semitism complaint filed with the ADL is now immediately scanned by their quote-unquote AI systems to see if there's a litigation opportunity they can forward to their network of some 50,000 lawyers. So essentially, if you go out there, if somebody files a complaint that you're going into these prophecies using the word of God, right, going into the precepts, what they can do, or what they're saying they can do, is they work with different AI systems like Palantir. The brother Kasadia, I believe he just did a code cut. I was watching. I couldn't watch the whole thing, right? But, he was going into, and I'm going to go into it as well through the spirit, these different AI systems that they use. Even the Pentagon, believe it or not, the Pentagon just made a deal with Grok, which is the AI system of X, which is modern day Twitter. So the Pentagon and the War Department, they're using AI to target men who speak anti-Semitism talk. And they're looking for a litigation opportunity. So they're looking to use the laws of this system to justify condemning you for you speaking the truth. With their 50, I don't have 50,000 lawyers, right? Jake used the same lawyer. They asked, a lawyer? Yeah, that's my man's right there, X, Y, and Z. We don't know that. They got some 50,000 lawyers, right? Last year, in partnership with Gibson Dunn, we created something called the Legal Action Network. Greenblatt tells a gathering at the synagogue in LA. We've assembled 50 of the top law firms. I bet you did. in the United States to create a pro bono coterie of literally like 50,000 lawyers. And only Amalek can do, look at the money they got, right? They got 50,000 lawyers that's going to do this pro bono, right? That's how much time they got. Pro bono meaning for free, Latin for good, okay? And so now when you enter an incident at ADL, it instantly gets evaluated by our AI systems. Is there a litigation opportunity? And we can feed it to the lawyers to evaluate to find someone to take the case. Now you should think about a precept. You should be brought before governors and kings for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. A testimony is something that's done in the act of law. A testimony is an account, right, of a matter, right? You are a witness to a matter. You have spoken on behalf of what you have seen. That's what a testimony is. So when we're going to give a testimony, that's a legal term. So these devils are looking to crack down to bring you before governors and kings. Their lawyers are going to give a testimony, and as the state of Maryland or the state of Washington or the state of Florida, and you're going to give a testimony representing your power, Yahweh Bashmi, Yahweh Shai. Right? Let me get a quick precept on that. And I'm going to play exactly what he said. Let's go to Matthew 10. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. And now we're beginning to see how and why there are certain words used in the prophecies based off of what these devils are actually doing in real time. You know? This Matthew chapter 10 and verse 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. Now, these devils might bring you to an actual synagogue, because he was speaking, I believe in LA, like I said, in the actual synagogue. It could be a federal building. It can be a FEMA camp, a concentration center, however the Most High sets it up. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Right? Let's go into this word testimony. Right? The word should mean witness. Right? Because you're speaking about a matter, really the truth. So the word is martyrion. Right? We should get the word martyr from. So it says a testimony. Okay, it says something evidential, meaning something that you have seen, right? Evidence meaning something you see outside or outside of you, all right? To be testified, a testimony, a witness, right? So you're going to have to speak, and you're going to have to give you're going to have to testify. Let's just look up a simple definition. What is testifying in court? All right. Testifying in court means giving a sworn formal evidence as a witness about what you know, saw, or heard in the case. Promising to tell the truth under oath and answering questions from lawyers. Those are those 50,000 plus lawyers that they're talking about. That's that Matthew 10, that testimony. And you're going to be brought there because they're going to find out who you are based off of their AI systems. Your address, your finances, your bank account, all of that. You know? So it reads, answering questions from lawyers during direct examination and cross-examination to help the judge or jury understand the facts. It's a critical part of the legal process, requiring honesty and adherence to court rules, with lying leading to serious penalties like perjury. See, we're going to have to give an account. Who are you? And with these, man, there's so much going on, man. I was reading this other article, how the Mossad, which is the intelligence agency of the state of Israel, And the CIA, they used an amalgamation of different tactics to cause those riots out there in Iran, from using deep fakes. They were using, I don't know, brothers, you saw those new deep fakes they got. It's not like the old ones. They got new deep fakes where a brother could be talking. I could be talking. You see a small picture of me on your screen. You probably saw it. But then you see an actual other person. I didn't plan on going into it. You can look it up on your own. You probably came across it. But they use those deep fakes to false represent other people in Iran. So you might have thought that this was one of your top captains telling you to riot, but it really wasn't. But it was just like him. And I'm not talking about the regular AI. This is like some high level stuff that they gave the public. This stuff they gave the public. Imagine what they still keep to themselves, that they're still tweaking it and working on and kind of modifying. That's stuff that we have access to. Let me see if I can actually pull that up. I may not be able to get it. Deep fakes used in Iran protests, right? Let's see. They may not give me that. It might be too much. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think. Okay. It says AI generated hyper realistic deep fakes have flooded social media in 2026, creating a hallucinated narrative of ongoing protests in Iran. So this is what they were doing. This is how they were stirring up the people. They were damn near shape shifting. That's all. I mean, it's really, I don't know how else to describe it. It's damn near shape shifting. As of mid-January 2026, that's right now, researchers have identified AI-generated videos created by both anti-regime and pro-regime actors, which have amassed millions of views. The use of deep fakes has surged to fill the gap in information caused by internet blackouts and restrictions imposed by the Iranian regime to suppress dissent. So what these devils did was they cut the internet out, cut all cell phone usage out. They came in there, used deep fakes and sorcery to show the people what's not really going on, so they can have a reason to come in and say, you know what, we need to come in Iran, bomb it, get rid of all of the protests, and shut everything down. There's 20 million people dying every day. So that's their tactics. And a lot of that, I got to find the ones that they're really using. A lot of that is what they're going to use to target the men of the Lord. You know? So you got to, the Lord said there are going to be signs and wonders, in so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. You're not going to be able, or you're going to have a hard time discerning reality from fiction. And now I'm damn near conditioned, because I'm looking at stuff, I'm like, that's AI, but then it's not AI. Some of this stuff is getting real, man. You know, is that AI? Now that's a new question every time you see something. Like, that got to be AI, maybe it's not. So long story short, these devils used a lot of witchcraft to galvanize the people of America and other nations to justify them going into Iran. Right? Last minute they pulled out and said, you know, we're not going to do it, but that's what they're going to use on the men of the Lord. We firmly believe that you might see a video of a brother in Israel and it looks just like that brother. I mean, it's going to look just like that brother. I'm not talking about the AI stuff where the words look blurry. It's going to look just like that individual. It's going to show them doing something, and brothers are going to be like, well, damn, I didn't think that brother would do that. Is that real? Did that happen? To further push their agenda, you know? So that's what Matthew 10 is talking about. Let's go to Acts 24. Acts 24 and verse 5. And this is an example of what these so-called Jews want to do, right? I'm going to read one. Acts 24 and 1. And after 5 days, Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders and with a certain orator named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. So he's really a lawyer. They hired a lawyer. Just like Greenblatt, these devils said, we got 50,000 lawyers. That's nothing new. They bore false witness, had a wicked agenda, and he hired lawyers in the ancient world. This guy Tertullus, man. He was an eloquent man, well studied. He was set up to accuse Paul. Now, this is court. And when he was called forth, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness, and that very worthy deeds are done unto thee, unto this nation by thy providence. So he was giving Felix flattery, right? Flattering. It's like you're buttering them up. We accept it always and in all places, most noble Felix, with all thankfulness. That's equivalent to, yes, your honor. I'm so glad that that's his opening statement. I'm so glad you're taking a chance to hear what I have to say, and you're a great judge, and we're going to go through these things. I can only imagine what Paul was thinking in his mind hearing this devil. Notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency a few words. Here's what the lawyer said. We have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. He's a cult leader. He's in a hate group. He causes sedition. He incites people to rebel against the government of Rome. Now, this is what he's talking about doing. Getting these lawyers, using AI to frame you so they can target you and persecute you. And I'm going to play the audio. Right, so like this keeps playing. I'm going to get back to that. All right, can't stand that devil. I'm going to play this clip of Greenblatt, right, and what he actually said through the Spirit. So let me play this. And these devils are proud, man. Right? They are proud about their agenda. Salakia. And their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. Right? See Satan trying to hinder this again. Bear with me. All right, let me play this. Not that one. All right, this one. Let me play this. All right, you should be able to hear this.
So last year, in partnership with Gibson Dunn, we created something called the Legal Action Network. We've assembled 50 of the top law firms in the United States to create a pro bono coterie of literally like 50,000 lawyers. And so now when you enter in an incident at ADL, it instantly gets evaluated by our AI systems. Is there a litigation opportunity? And we feed it to the lawyers to evaluate and to find someone to take the case. And we built this using our tech.
And he has a small hat on, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how it was on his head because he has no hair. Looked like he got one of them small hats on. Let me play this from the beginning.
Last year, in partnership
fair
with
use. Right? Fair use.
Gibson Dunn, we created something called the Legal Action Network. We've assembled 50 of the top law firms in the United States to create a pro bono coterie of literally like 50,000 lawyers. And so now when you enter in an incident at ADL, it instantly gets evaluated by our AI systems. Is there a litigation opportunity? And we feed it to the lawyers to evaluate and to find someone to take the case. And we built this using our tech. Again, we have like software engineers at ADL, but we're opening it up. We've opened it up to Brandeis Center, Stand With Us, and to other great groups. So what gives me hope that we can break this paradigm? Number one, innovating and finding new ways to get ahead of the curve. Number two, creating new partnerships like with the top law firms. And
see that? They're creating partnerships with the top law firms, and they also already have partnerships with the United States military and with Israeli intelligence agencies as well. That's that double damn octopus arms. He's branching off to every avenue to justify his sins and using every corporation, every platform, and every way he can.
Partnerships with other Jewish groups. And then thirdly, again, applying our brains. So it used to be that, again, if you had a problem, you picked up the phone and called ADL, and it took us days and days to get back to you. Remember I told you 31,000 reports? Now using generative AI, I am responding instantly. And if you enter that something happened to you, for example, say your kid got bullied at or your kid had a teacher at middle school, a social studies teacher, who again, this oppressed craziness, and held out your kid, you enter it in, and our Gen AI can literally on the spot generate a letter for you to send to LAUSD that will automatically, okay, this is the chairman of the board of education. This is the superintendent of schools. This is the name of the principal of that specific school. We'll generate the letter real time and send it out for you. And at the same time, launch a petition that we can push to the city council and so on and so forth.
So you see, they're building the framework. This is the framework of from the legal side, because these devils, the Lord said they transgressed by law, right? So they are going to provide the framework, which they're doing now, to be able to validate why they're able to come after the men of the Lord, right? This is the framework. This is how they're going to be able to make this actually happen. You know, how we're going to have to give a testimony, how these courts are going to be set up, these lawyers and this systematic AI working that's giving letters and charges and all the backgrounds on who the individual was and what camp he was in or what did he say and all of that. This is the framework of the persecution. These are the things that are, happening from a methodical standpoint, from these devils. It's not just, okay, we just going to round up the Israelites. No, they're going to have laws to cover their own selves on why they do what they do,
So we are using tech and innovation to find new instant ways, again, to try to break that paradigm once.
Right, you see that? Right, you see that? Now, there was something else he said. See if I can go back to it. Right, he came out and he said something else. Right, but you get the point. Okay, here it is. Here's another one. ADL leader Jonathan Greenblatt says Americans who criticize Jews and Israel will be monitored by the FBI. So I got good news for you brothers. All you brothers that go out there and you read Deuteronomy 25:17, you go out there and read Exodus chapter 17, 15 on down. You go out there and read Ezekiel 7:21 on down. You read Ezekiel 36:5. You read, 1 Samuel the 15th chapter. All these accounts of Amalek. You're being monitored by the FBI if you didn't know, right? They're watching you, looking at what you spend, where you work at, who you are, got your address. So as they file these this is just a system to enhance false witnesses. Their AI systems is really just a platform to increase, because when they got Yahweh Shai, when he got delivered up, it says they sought many false witnesses, but they couldn't find them. So it prolonged the kangaroo court trial that Yahweh Shai was in. They had to find these false witnesses, but with this AI system, anybody can input any false claim. They're not going to verify it. So you can have 1,000 false witnesses and false claims, and they say, "Ha, what further need have we of witnesses?" That's what they did to the Lord. As soon as they got the false witnesses, they said, "What further need have we of witnesses? What think ye?" They say he is guilty of death. So they're going to expedite all of the false witnesses. It's a systematic way of augmenting the false witnesses against the men of the Lord so they can have a reason to come after the servants of the Most High. Let me get that precept real quick. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, right? But they did that to our Lord, man. You know, because who's going to verify these claims? Who's going to go back and verify these claims? Who's going to be able to give a testimony and say, "Hey, that happened," or "It didn't happen"? Nobody's going to be able to do that. You know, this is Matthew chapter, let's start at 26 and verse number 60, but I'm going to jump down. I'm going to start at 59, right? This Matthew chapter 26 and 59. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death. Right? That's what this AI system is. It's a futuristic way of Matthew 26 and 59 to bring false charges on us so they can justify us being put to death. They did that to the Lord. Verse number 60. But found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses. So they trying to have these stories link up so they could have false witnesses against the Lord. And it took a long time. You know? And you don't want that. These devils don't want any opportunity or space or room for them to look like they're in the wrong. Right? So let's read on. Verse number 60. I'll read on. Verse number 61 or 60. But found none, yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses, and this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But Yahushua held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Hamashiach, the Son of God. So he made him swear. I adjure you, as you making him make an oath. He has to speak. If a priest or a judge adjures you at a trial, you have to speak. It ain't no I plead the fifth. It ain't no I'm gonna remain silent. I know my rights. According to the law, you have to speak. That's what these devils make you swear on the oath, or they make you swear on the Bible. All right. Verse number 64. Yahushua saith unto him, thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Here's the point. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. So it was a prolonged matter to get these false witnesses to charge Yahushua to death. This AI system and Palantir and these elites that they're using is to expedite that process so they can come after many men of the Lord with all these false charges. You're already being monitored by the FBI. So let's play this clip and we're going to move on.
And disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
This devil's so proud, man. He's so damn proud. And how was his hat still stuck to the back of his head? He got a small hat on, and it's on the back of his head. So he's proud, man.
So number one, we measure and track. Number two, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists. We monitor them online.
So they watching the live. They monitor us online. He might be watching this live right now. You know? You got people watching. Everybody that's watching this live is not in the truth. You think everybody tuned in is in the truth? No.
Extremists. We monitor them online, social media, messaging apps, video games, cryptocurrency, podcasts, short form video.
Your finances, your WhatsApp, your group chats, what you texting about, you on the phone, right? You might be on the phone, you heard a damn Amalekite burp in the background, man. What was that? Did you hear that? I ain't hear nothing. You know, Amalek, you know, he tapped in and it's a white van outside, you know, down the street. You know?
Wikipedia, LLMs. We monitor these people and we share the intelligence with the FBI. You saw last month, you heard about the thing that happened at Wilshire Boulevard Temple. Our analysts investigated what happened. They said they were Koreatown for Palestine, this group of people. They weren't. We were able to ascertain they were from a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Turtle Island is how like left-wing activists refer to the United States. They don't call it America, they call it Turtle Island, like the Iranians call it the Zionist entity, right? They won't call it by its name. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, we gave them a whole dossier. What is Turtle Island Liberation Front? What are their ideas, their goals? Who are they? We identified the people who are in the identified the people who are in the.
So they identified the people, who they are. You know, they got all that, man. That's why you can go and chat GPT and ask about any camp, any brother in the congregation. It's going to give you a full breakdown, full analysis of that brother. You know, again, and we have access to that. When I say we, just the general public. Imagine what these devils have access to.
Synagogue. This was on Wednesday, December the 10th. On Monday, December the 15th. This is going to ring a bell. Kash Patel announced they cracked a terror ring where they arrested 4 people who were planning New Year's Eve bombings. Turtle Island Liberation Front.
So they monitored these guys December 10th. They arrested them December 15th. So we understand what's going on. We understand very well what's going on. Let me go to this other thing I had. They was watching them December 10th. Right now, I don't know how true it is with this so-called bombing thing, but then December 15th, they got up with them. Right? And they probably built the case. Right? Built the case on them so they could have a reason to come after them. So we know we in the end of the world, man. Here's another law that they wanted to push. Now, this comes from that shooting out there in Australia that happened, I believe, last month. The Bondi shooting, right? False flag, however it played out, right? So Labor's hate speech censorship bill applies to quote-unquote conduct that occurred before its commencement. Labor wants to charge people for past speech and social media posts, although speech was legal at the time. So before they pass hate speech laws, it's like now your grandfather then. Anything new is going to be against you. But now they're going to dive deep to anything that you have ever said and posted and charge you for it. Right? Now here's what they're doing. Look at the part that says this is the draft of the bill that they want to put forth. Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate, and Extremism Bill 2026. So this is something that they newly want to put out there. I'm still in shock that it's only January. All hell been breaking loose. It's only January. feel like it's damn near March. I feel like it's been 4 months. It's so much going on. It's only not even the third official week in January. It's so much happening. It's only January. Right? So the Most High is working, man. The Lord said, come and see the works of the Most High. He is terrible and is doing toward the children of men. Right? So this is their bill for 2026. Now look at the highlighted part. Make sure the screen is showing. Okay, screen is showing. It says conduct constituting a hate crime may have occurred before commencement. In subsection 1A, it says a reference to conduct constituting a hate crime includes a reference to conduct constituting a hate crime that occurred before subsection 1 commences. So pretty much, like I said earlier, they're looking to pass this bill so they can get you for anything that you've ever said. Because a brother might, anybody rather might say, you know what, I haven't said anything since, recent months or years. They're going to say, no, to hell with that. We diving deep. 2021, what did you say? 2022, what was this? 2023, what was that? Right? These are the laws, it's like that they're looking to pass. Right? These are the laws that they're looking to pass through the Spirit. Right? What's another thing I had? Here's another one. The U.S. War Department has officially entered into an agreement with Elon Musk AI to expand Gen AI. Grok-based frontier AI will be deployed across military and civilian operations, giving 3 million personnel access to AI capabilities starting early 2026 globally. So this is what they're using. The War Department, ADL, these different organizations. So no matter what you say is going straight to the War Department, Department of Homeland Security, right? Pentagon, all of that. As they build up their list of the men of the Lord who they need to come after. And yes, they're coming after us. If you're in this truth and you believe in Yahweh Shai, you believe in his son, you believe in Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai, you are now public enemy number 1. Right? And these people, they hate you for that. You are not, and you can't escape. Well, maybe if I delete all my social media. No, they're passing the laws about what you said before. They're going to dig that stuff back up, man. Right? There's no escape. This is what you in. This is what you signed up for. You got to drink of this cup. You got to drink of this cup. Right? You got to drink of this cup. Now, I want to get, let me get this precept. And when I say drink of this cup, that means you have to accept the tribulation and the affliction, the persecution that comes with serving Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. Right? You're already in this thing. It's too late to go back. You're already here. They already know. We're not worried. We're not scared. We have Yahweh, his son Yahweh Shai. Who the hell is man? Think I'm afraid of green, black, and that small hat on the back of his head, man? Hey, look, we don't fear man. We fear Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. It says, fear not him that can destroy body, but rather fear him that can destroy both soul and body in hell. This is the time for you brothers that are fearful, first of all, to repent from that fear of man. It says, woe unto him that believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. This is the time for you to be building up your faith, your most holy faith, building up your hope. This 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 7. And Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we may inquire of him? Right? So they were looking for a prophet, Ahab and Jehoshaphat and the kings, to guide them in battle. right? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. So this is how these doubles are. They hate us like Ahab hated Micaiah the prophet, because all Micaiah did was tell the truth. He says I hate him because he always tells me the evil that's going to happen to me, because I'm wicked, I'm a sinner, I'm ungodly, and he calling it like it is. He's calling a spade a spade. I hate this prophet. He won't lie to me and tell me what I want to hear. He's not going to enable me and cater to my sins. I hate that prophet. Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. That's what the Most High said, right? You damn devils, watch your mouth, man. Let not you wicked devils say so. The Lord said, touch not mine anointed and do my prophets no harm. We don't care that you hate us, man, because we're telling you that the evil that's going to befall you, your society is going to collapse. America's going to fall. The missiles are going to hit you. You're going into slavery. You're going to be extinct after a certain period of time. That you're the wicked. You're not the real Jews. They hate us, for we prophesy evil to them and not good, right? And again, the beautiful part, man, Josiah stepped up, right? He didn't care about what this king had to say. He said, man, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. That's what Jehoshaphat said. He was a righteous king. Watch what you're saying about the men of the Lord, man. Let not the king say so. Modern day translations, watch your damn mouth, man. That's a man of the Lord. He ain't going to tell you what you want to hear. He ain't going to speak smooth things to you. He ain't going to cater to your emotions, man. He going to tell you straight up. Let me go to Luke 6 and 22. Right? Luke chapter 6 and verse number 22. Now, when you read that account, they ended up smiting Micaiah, afflicting him. And let me go back to that. And Micaiah, he was talking his talk. Right? Let me go back to that because I want to get another verse in that chapter. Micaiah, he was talking his talk. This is, let's see. I'm going to jump down. Here it is. 1 Kings 22 and 24. Right? Because he told him the truth. He said, you're going to die at battle. I saw a vision of the Most High and the angels, and there was a council in the third heaven about how they're going to get you to die. Right? And here's what happened. But Zedekiah, the son of Kenaanah, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? Right? So he punched Micaiah in the jaw because he told the truth. Now, what did Micaiah do? And Micaiah said, behold, thou shalt see in that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. He said, you're going to know I'm telling the truth when you cowering down, scared to death, and your kingdom is destroyed. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back into Amon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus saith the king, put this fellow in the prison and feed him with the bread of affliction and with the water of affliction until I come in peace. And that's proud. Until I come in peace. Did Ahab come back in peace? No, he died. The prophet told you you're going to die. He said, until I come back from this battle. You were told you're not going to make it. And they put him in prison because he told the truth. Right? They put him in prison because he told the truth and he was proud, said, I'm going to see him when I come back. And he never came back. Hey, that's what the Lord told him in the next verse. And Micaiah said, if thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. Meaning you ain't coming back. Watch your mouth, man. If you come back, the Lord ain't dealing with me. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. And he called everybody out, man. All them false prophets. He was loud. He told them, you ain't coming back. You're not going to make it. So the prophets was bold. They was getting punched in the jaw, getting tortured, and all hell was breaking loose, put in prison. And he told the people, you not coming back. You're not going to make it. And that's what we telling you so-called Jews. You're not going to make it, man. We're like Micaiah, who have the inside scoop about the council in the third heaven about what's going to happen to you. And there's nothing that they can do about it. Right? Now, I went into this, that they're using AI with these different government systems. Here's another one. This is what the mighty Captain Kasadi was going into, right? It says, what is Elite app? ICE using Palantir's mapping tool to track immigrants for deportation with IDs, location, and photos. So this goes back into what we was going into. Palantir is another AI system that's owned by the so-called Jew, that's used by the American government to track dissidents, which are people who are inclined to commit crimes, inclined to rebel, and people that are into anti-Semitism and other anti-American laws, right? Federal immigration officers appear to be using a high-tech mapping tool developed with data from Palantir to identify deportation targets across the United States. The tool is known as the Enhanced Leads Identification and Targeting for Enforcement, or simply Elite. Right? And this just came out. You can look into this on your own. Right? They're all using these AI systems to come after the men of the Lord. Right? To come after the men of the Lord. Christy, no, deal with because this devil keep popping back up. Right? I can try to pause this. All right, let me go back because they. All right, we're gonna get to that devil, but he's the one. He's actually the CEO of Palantir, right? So I might as well play it, but I want to play what he said, a particular part that he said. He's the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, right? And as soon as it stops lagging, I could kind of go into it. You know, you could watch this whole thing on your own. Now he said that they want to kill. He said, I'm trying to scroll up, so Salakia, right? I'm telling you, Satan trying to hinder the word. Palantir exists. Here's what he said: to scare enemies and on occasion to kill them. So he says he's looking to use Palantir to scare his enemies and to kill them. That's why they use the Grok, and they use these AI systems to come after the men of the Lord so they can kill us. That's what he said. You say, well, brother, you reaching. It's kind of far-fetched. Maybe that's outlandish. He came out and said it. They want to use this system to put fear in our hearts so they could destroy us and shut this word down. Right? So let me close out that devil because he keep popping up. We talked about this already. Could labor's hate speech laws damage Australia's free speech? Here's what you need to know about the contentious bill. We covered that bill already. And like I always say, remember, Australia is always the Illuminati's, these elites, testing ground. The Australians are the lab rats of the New World Order. And all of the laws that go into these elites' agendas, the trial runs are always done in Australia. And after they see and go through the trial run in Australia, they bring it out to Western Europe, England, Spain, Germany, France, Denmark, Greece, right? And then after it's done in Western Europe, right, they see how it takes, then they bring it back or they bring it over here to America, right? So right now, this is in what we know now is the trial stage because it's in Australia. But it always goes through its proper channels, like any experiment. Any experiment, right, as they call it the scientific method. There's a step-by-step process before you can reach a conclusion. So they start with, again, Australia, then they go to Western Europe. Then, that takes time. Western Europe is a longer trial process because there are so many countries, ethnicities. And then after a long time, they bring it out to America. They roll it out because it has to be perfect by the time it gets here. Because these Babylonians are a different type of beast. So they want this thing to be perfect and rolled out to perfection. These are the plans. These are the devices of the devil. That's what the Most High said in okay, I'm gonna get that. Let me get this classic precept in Isaiah 55:6. All right, let's get the classic. Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. It reads, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near." And all that we're going into with free speech and hate speech and AI and persecution and the doomsday clock and World War III that we're about to touch on and Greenland, we're about to go. There's a lot we still got to go into. Take advantage, just a quick intermission in the spirit, take advantage of your accessibility to Yahweh Ba'ashmi Awashad and his grace that is here in the last days that's bestowed upon you. And grieve not the Holy Spirit. These are perilous times that we're in, pursuant to 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 1. Take advantage of the time where you can pray more, you can fast more. You might fast once a week. Now you might be doing twice a week. You might be praying 2 times a day. Now you're praying 5 times a day. You might have been reluctant to travel and labor and do the work, but now, you're seeing what's going on, and it should stir your spirit up to do more, to be zealous of good works, to be on fire, to be shining. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. The sins that you struggle with, the demons that are hindering you, take advantage of your nearness to Yahweh Ba'ashmi Awashad, that he could purge you from these demons and these inner wickedness or that inner wickedness. Because the times are going to come where the Lord is not going to be near, right? And it's going to be no woulda, shoulda, couldas in the day of evil, right? No woulda, shoulda, couldas in the day of Jacob's trouble. Oh man, I should have got my spirit right. I should have did this. I should have did that. You got this devil. Look at this devil. She came out and said Americans should be prepared. This is from today. Ain't today technically today. Americans should be prepared to prove their citizenship. They might roll up on you. Let me see your citizenship. Let me see, who are you? Like in that movie Civil War, what kind of American are you? Trump got his response force, his quick response force. They're going to roll up. Let me just run everybody's ID. Who are you? Are you an American? Or you're that guy? They're going to link you up with the AI system. You're one of those Hebrew Israelites. And, so this crackdown is coming. The dragon was wroth and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So they looking to crack down. All signs point to massive persecution, right? All signs point to massive persecution. So while that's going on in America, if you've been watching, you see what's going on with Greenland. America is at odds with NATO. There are troops right now as we speak from Germany, I believe Sweden, Denmark, and I believe France as well, I have to confirm, who are looking to shoot down any American that wants to invade. We went into this in the cold cut maybe 2 weeks ago. Rule 52 of NATO says that if you look to invade Greenland and take it over, we shoot first and we ask questions later. So the French army general, he said he cautioned America. He said Greenland is the red line. If the United States invades, they stop being systemic adversaries. They become enemies. If the U.S. attacks Greenland, we must fight the Americans. So right now, last time I checked, they're looking to buy it. Maybe they're trying to work something out. We want them to invade. We want to see if they do this. Do it. I don't know why. What's all Trump? You invaded Venezuela. You grabbing men out in the middle of the night out their bed. You stirring up confusion in Iran. Go into Greenland. What are you waiting on? Take it over. It's yours. It belongs to you, right? Use it. Go there. We want the invasion. We're not like the American public. We want the invasion. We're instigating this thing by the precepts. Who would have thought the days would come where France is saying we're going to fight, we must fight the Americans. Right? I'm not going to play the whole thing, but that's what he said, because they're speaking in French, you know? America's at odds, man. They're at odds. They are at odds. Now, France, this is today, coming in hot. France says we don't even want to be part of NATO anymore. Canada's leaving. If you're watching Canada, they said, look, the New World Order is with China. They're bugged out. They said, we with China, man. This is the new World Order. And France is saying, we don't want no parts either. France seriously weighs NATO exit amid doubts about U.S. alliance. You know? So France is looking at what they say, GTFO. Let's get a precept, right? Let's go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter. This also is biblical prophecy, right? This also is biblical prophecy. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse number 41, right? When you read this chapter, Daniel saw a vision of 4 major kingdoms. The Neo-Babylonian Empire, they ruled from 626 to 539 BC. Then you had the Medo-Persian Empire, who ruled around 552 BC to 331 BC. Then they fell by the Greeks at the Battle of Gaugamela, or some scholars would say the Battle of Arbela. Then you had the thighs and belly of brass, which are the Greeks. They fell primarily by the Roman Republic and the Macedon Wars, right? In the Corinthian Wars, they fell at the Battle of Corinth around 146 BC. That's when they lost their power, rather. Then you have the Roman Republic, who transitioned to the Roman Empire, which are the legs of iron. That's the Roman Empire. Then you got the feet that are the 10 toes, which are miry clay, which represents NATO and the EU, right? And we've done, if you want more of an in-depth breakdown of Daniel's 2nd chapter, we've done that. It's on this same channel. You can look it up on your own. But for sake of time, I just want to touch on the 10 toes, because the 10 toes are the times that we're living in now. So let's read Daniel 2 and 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. but there should be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. So this is speaking about NATO and the EU. And it's called the 10 toes because the EU, it's like it originally started with 10 countries, or they call it the 10 common markets. But it has expanded to over 20 countries, all in all. And NATO is divided, man. Their biggest partner is America. And America is looking to break apart from NATO to get Greenland. France is looking to leave. I got an article where Brussels says we need to form our own NATO. We need to amass 100,000 European troops, and we don't want no parts of America. Brussels came out and said that. So the kingdom is divided. But there should be in it of the strength of iron. They have military might, like ancient Rome. They have nuclear weapons. They have the strength of Rome. But their government is weak, like clay. It's an invaluable material. There's no worth in the government of NATO. It's a very weak government, a very weak structure. It's over 20-something countries, I believe 27 to 32 countries. They have their own laws. France has their own laws than Germany. Germany has different laws than Poland. Poland has different laws than America. They have different prime ministers, different kings. It's a very weak structure. That's why it's likened unto clay. When you break the statue down, the governments become weaker and weaker. The same way the metals become less valuable. It starts with gold, silver, brass, iron, clay. The government of the Babylonian kingdom was godlike. They treated the king as God. Then the government of the Medes and the Persians was kind of strong. You still had a king, but it was a joint empire with the Medes and the Persians. And they can actually check the king. According to the law of the Medes and the Persians that altereth not, they could check the king and say, look, you pass his law, you can't go back on your word. So the kingdom got weaker. Then the Greek Empire was weak. They had an entire democracy philosophy where the public had power to elect who was going to rule. They had city-states. It was complete division. Then a Roman Empire was weak because it was an amalgamation of various cities or city-states or provinces. 2 Roman councils, a senate, plebeians, patricians, different classes. And now NATO is the weakest government that has ever been in charge, right? It's strong, but it's weak. That's why it says, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. The iron is the military might. The clay represents their government structure. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So they're going to mingle themselves with the seed of men, right? You got America heaping up all nations, Arabs and Europe, right? You got Hamites. All nations are coming together under the influence of America and NATO. But now you got these Edomites. The Lord says, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. France is not cleaving to America anymore. Denmark is not cleaving to America. Brussels, Germany, they're not cleaving to America anymore. These kingdoms are divided. Right? Let's go to the classic in Matthew chapter 12. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 12. I've never seen NATO so divided, and it's only going to get worse. Matthew 12 and 25, the classic, right? And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. It's over with. They're done. They said if America comes, shoot first, ask questions later. Let me pull that up. That's Rule 52. Rule 52, NATO. Right? Let me pull that up. Right? Let me type in Greenland because they beating around the bush. Right? Let's see. Let's see if they go to Rule 52. Now they're all right, let me see if I can find this. I'll have to find it again, but it said Greenland says it cannot accept United States takeover under any circumstances. And Trump came out and said, this devil. He said, I'm gonna take it one way. This devil is proud. Now Greenland could put Rule 52 into place, which is part of NATO policies. At the start of a critical week for the vast Arctic island, a largely self-governing part of Denmark, the United States president restated his interest in the strategically located, mineral-rich, right, territory, saying the United States would take it one way or another. That's proud, man. That's a proud statement. That's so proud. Now, let me see if I can get this. Let me type this in. Shoot first. Ask questions later. NATO. Right. Let's see if I can get that. Because it's January 7th. All right, let's see January 8th. Danish troops questions later if Greenland is invaded. So just invade them. Just do it. You said you're going to take it one way or another. Do it. Trump is following orders. Trump is following orders. And then ask, who is it later? Who did I shoot? Well, who is that? Oh, those are the Americans. Get them the walkie-talkie. You know, we shot down 5 Americans. Now, other clay entities that attack NATO countries. Right? Slovakia. Right? This brother should be able to see me. Right? Slovakia. Right? Okay, you should be able. Let me know if you can hear me. Right? Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Is it still lagging? Right? Still lagging? Are we back? All right, the water. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, let's get back into it. All right, let's get back into it. So I want to see it, man. I want to see it. Do it. I hate the talk. I hate the rhetoric with these nations, man. I hate the rhetoric with the nations. We know it's the will of the Most High. We got to be patient concerning the work of Yahweh Shmi Awashai. All right, let me close this out because now, all right, it's trying to give me a hard time again to share the screen. But I want to see that Rule 52 put into play. Right, I want to see that Rule 52 put into play. Right, I want to know if the screen is going to show. Bear with me. Let me see if this is working through the spirit. Okay, bear with me. See, now they're not allowing me to share the screen. So, Salakia, I'm going to go back. All right, I got to go back and come back. So, Salakia, bear with me. All right, let me see if this works now. And I can share this. All right, Salaki, bear with me. Let's share this. I want to show what's going on with Brussels. Where is it at? All right, let me share this. Still can't see the screen. Right? So I want to go into what's going on with Brussels, but Satan is trying to hinder the word again. Right? Satan's trying to hinder the word. So bear with me. Right? As I try to get this. And I've never had this issue. I've never had this issue with sharing the screen and, displaying, the different links up till now. Right? You want to go into it and go into, the end of the world and these different events on a different level, and now all of a sudden we can't access the screen. Try capturing the different screen to see if it continues. I don't want to do that. Right? Now you want to go into it and all hell is breaking loose. Right? All right. Let me try to give it another go. All right, bear with me. Trying to see if this is going to work. See, now they, I'm trying to get into this, but I wanted to show, Lord willing, it loads up, how the EU should set up a common army, says defense commissioner. So they pretty much came out and said that we don't want any parts with NATO anymore. We want to do our own thing. Right? America should do their own thing. Let me see if it works like this. Right? Let me go down. Okay, so bear with me. I'm gonna try another way. Right? These damn doubles. Right, Salakia. Let me try another way. Through the spirit. All right, let's see. See if this way works. All right. All right, you see that? So you should be able to see the screen. All right, so I'll praise to the Most High. It says EU should set up a common army, says defense commissioner. And they're getting bold. When they say set up a common army, they're saying independent of America. Because remember, America is not part really of the EU. The EU is a separate entity than that of NATO. NATO is a military alliance, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That's a military alliance that links up Canada and America with other parties in the West, Western Europe. But the EU, the European Union, is a political and trading organization. And they're saying we need to have our own army, and America is not invited. So you know NATO's finished. You know that they're finished. You can't come anymore. That's what they're telling America. Now, because they know that they about to go to war with America. They know that. So it says the European Union should consider forming a joint military force to potentially replace American troops stationed in Europe, according to Defense Commissioner Andreas Kubilius. So that's a Roman, so a Roman name. So you know, these people are finished. This is Rome divided. They're looking to go to war. That's prophecy. You're watching the 10 toes crumble. Now, another part about the statue in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, that I like to touch on through the Spirit is the anatomy of the statue shows how prophecies are going to play out. So the body is divided. The way the Most High set us up in the creation is our body is divided from the head to the toe, right? What do I mean by that? Okay, your head is just one unit. Then your arms and your chest is another unit. So it's more divided, right? That represents the different kingdoms. So the Babylonian kingdom was just a solid kingdom. It wasn't divided. Then the Medo-Persian kingdom was divided. It's the arms and the chest of silver, right? Your arms are divided, right, from your chest, your left and your right arm. Then the kingdoms get more divided because the Greeks are the thighs and belly of silver. So part of your upper body and part of your lower body, that's divided. And your thighs are set apart, right? And then it goes down to the legs of iron. So your legs are divided further. Then the 10 toes. It's the most divided part of your body. It's on 2 separate units, and your toes are all 10 separate digits, which is the exact opposite of the head, which is 1 unit. You went from having 1 solid unit, a sovereign kingdom of the Babylonians, to 10 toes being divided. So it's a beautiful design of prophecy, how Yahweh Ba'ashmi Abashai set that statue up from an anatomical viewpoint. So the same way that the body's divided as you go down, it's the same way that as time progresses throughout the body, kingdoms become more and more divided, right? And that's what they're coming out of saying this, man. Right? Let's go to Revelation, the 17th chapter. Now, you may not see this on the screen, right? But that's okay. Let's read Revelation, the 17th chapter, right? Revelation chapter 17, and I want to read verse number 16. It reads, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." So those 10 horns are the 10 toes. They're going to hate America. Why are they going to hate America? Because America is the country that is always getting the West. When I say the West, I'm talking about Western European countries, England, France, Germany, Greece, etc., the Netherlands. They're always getting them involved in the matter of war that they don't want to be involved in. America's always starting stuff, and these other countries got to deal with it. Guilty by association. I tell you in Proverbs, the 13th chapter, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So all these nations who link up with America, they will be fools. And they know that they're going to be destroyed. That's the ancient proverb. So they're looking to link up with China, break off from America, break off from the dollar. That's why Canada came out and said, I'm so glad this demon, this Edomite, I'm going to show the clip. He said, I'm so glad that we finally linked up with China to establish a new world order. Because we're done with America. Brussels said, hey, the hell with American troops. We don't need them no more. France said, hey, look, we're looking to leave NATO. They're going to break off and do their own thing. That's Revelation 17 and 16. So these are exciting times. Everybody's leaving America, and they know that. That's where they're looking to move, or really, that's why they're moving the way that they're moving. They're moving like an erratic spirit. I've never seen America looking to rape, rob, and murder so much in such a short span. They're moving erratic. They know the kingdom is collapsing. Everybody's linking up with BRICS. The de-dollarization. If you're studying the economy, you see gold and silver's through the roof, which is bad news for the dollar. That's bad news for the dollar. Anytime you see that gold and silver kind of skyrocket like that, understanding economics, that's no good news for the dollar. Because gold is supposed to be an asset. In time past, it was used to back up the currency, the Federal Reserve notes of the dollar. So now they're looking to acquire other assets, oil out in Venezuela, right? They're looking to acquire the minerals in Greenland. Because these nations who have the dollar, there's no security in the dollar. They can't turn in their dollars for gold anymore. They can't, all that is over with. 1970s. That was over with in the 70s. And they're looking how America's freezing up people's currency and sanctions. They're like, man, we don't want no parts with that anymore. And you gave us dollars and you don't have nothing to back your dollars up with. And you let them Israelites wake up. They out there cussing you out. Your murder rate is at an all-time high. Your education rate is at an all-time low. Your imprisonment rate is more than any other country. These nations are looking at America through a lens like, hey, look, man, you're done. You're too messy. We out. It's Obadiah, verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So all of America's allies of the confederacy, they're turning against them and they're deceiving America. They ate bread with them, they had summits and meetings, and now they're laying a wound under thee. They're laying snares and traps to devour America, right? They're laying snares and traps. Now, let me pull this up as well. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Right, here's another, like I said, they're not allowing me to share the screen the normal way. So I gotta go and deviate. All right, let me see if it works again this way. If not, I'll have to go back to what I was doing through the spirit. All right, so let me go back. All right, bear with me. So they want me to show it by tab, right? Which kind of hinders what I want to do, but that's okay, right? Let me touch on this as well. You got this is what I want. Oh, that's not what I want. Salakia. I had to go through all of these. Okay. So here's another article, right? So this says Trump is likely going to do the same thing to Mexico as with Venezuela, but their president will be allowed to stay because of their allegiance to Israel, right? So there's something called the Club of Rome, and which we've touched on before, which is really a think tank, a dark council organization that is created to expedite the New World Order, right? With the elites and these Illuministic families. And when you look at older maps and you look at Greenland, Greenland was part of America. And they divided it up into 10 different regions, right? You had the North American Union, the EU, Japan, European Union, Pacific Union, etc. So there is talk, which we're still looking into, about all of this is part of really a plan of these elites anyway, right? All these wars are funded, all these wars are backed up, all these things are part of the plan and the schemes of these different elites. Now, some of these devils, they want to turn Greenland into a freedom city, right? They want to turn Greenland into a freedom city. A freedom city is a city that they want to essentially turn into an AI database headquarters. They want to take all of the minerals of Greenland and use it to essentially create a city. And Jake, you're not going to be invited to these cities, right? There's no asking, can I go? Can I make it? No, this is something that these elites want to do when they know these missiles are going to begin to be launched throughout the different parts of the earth, right? Let me see if I can get this, right? Let me get this Freedom City, right? They had these different plans that these devils wanted to do through the spirit. All right, let's see. Right, bear with me. I think this is it right here. It is. All right, so it reads, tech billionaires behind Greenland want to build unregulated freedom cities. So they really want to use Greenland from a strategical standpoint because its proximity to Russia and China. So it's advantageous to the American military. So these other countries can be within range of America's nuclear arsenal. It also is a major source of raw and rare minerals. And also, they want to use this as a testing ground for building new world order freedom cities, which is strictly ran AI based cities, right? And all of the rich elites, they want to build a city that they can live in while the rest of the world plummets into pandemonium, pandemics, wars, commotions, and confusion, right? And I don't have time to go through all of this, but they want to build charter cities or freedom cities. So brothers should look into that. Because these devils have dark plans and plots. Let me get this precept in Isaiah 29 real quick. Right? So they also want to build freedom cities. And they made movies like Elysium